Welcome to the Divorce View Talk Show. Hi, it's Joanie Winberg, certified human behavior consultant, divorce mentor, and founder of GettingAlongSolutions.com. I'm thrilled this week to always be joined by my co-host, Rosalind Sedacca. Hello, Ros, and I'm thrilled you're here.
Hi, Joanie. Great to be here as always. This is a wonderful show. I'm Rosalind Sedacca, divorce and parenting mentor and coach, founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network for Parents, and author of How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce? And tell us about our guest today.
Well, we're taking a little different angle, and I'm excited to introduce our guest. Our guest tonight is Cheryl Turgeon, and she is a certified integrative health coach, and she specializes in highly sensitive women. Cheryl's background includes advanced certification from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. She has a master's in public health with an emphasis on behavioral change. And Cheryl had a midlife career change where she actually was a CEO of a health club and now has her own coaching business for the last 8 years. So welcome, Cheryl. We're thrilled you're here.
Why, thank you, Joanie. And if I may say, it was a health center that I
Health center. Okay, I hope I got that right. Roz, I thought we'd come at this show a little bit of a different angle because you and I really emphasize on how parents need to get along, how to co-parent, how they need to, help with those negative thoughts and get rest and take care of themselves. But I feel as though we haven't touched upon at all as far as eating healthy. And so we want to talk about that maybe the food you're eating is actually eating, how did you say that, Cheryl? Eating away, eating at you?
Stress, is it what you're eating or what's eating you?
Yes, I love it. I love it. So Cheryl, give us a little bit of an understanding of how food or what maybe some types of food can really affect our attitude, our irritability, so forth, lack of sleep.
Well, Joanie, I think especially when we're under stress, whether it's going through a divorce or even all of the things that come along after that, we are most likely to pick up the foods that we get quick energy from because we're feeling overwhelmed, we're feeling tired, and we really feel we need to be soothed. So that means going for things like, we've got Halloween candy coming up, and the breads, the pastas, the
Comfort food.
yeah, the comfort foods, and the quick energy foods.
Yeah.
So what happens? I mean, that's what we naturally would go for because in the short term they make us feel better. In the long run, though, what they're doing to us is they're giving us a quick hit of energy, so our energy spikes, but then it drops just as quickly. And when it drops, that's when we're getting irritable, we're feeling anxiety, we may feel fatigue. If we're feeling kind of moody as it is, then eating these foods are going to just make those mood swings worse.
And would you say, Cheryl, that's not the time to be on the phone with your former?
No, absolutely not. So I think instead, one thing that's really important is to avoid those swings in blood sugar. If you start your day with coffee and then maybe a donut or a bagel or a muffin, the kind that you'd get at the fast food places, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for those blood sugar spikes.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen is your appetite really gets out of control because probably 2 or 3 hours later, usually it's about 3 hours later, that your energy is going to drop again. And then what happens is that you need energy quick, because we basically drop into what we consider the danger zone, where your body is looking for a quick fix as fast as possible. So what's going to help it most is another candy bar, maybe some of those energy bars or something like that.
Mhm.
So you'll get your boost again, but then you're going to drop again.
Mm.
So basically what you want to do instead is start your day with a really good breakfast. It could be, as we've done with your groups, Joanie, for your retreats, we've done smoothies and I have a recipe for a really good smoothie on my website. That's Should I give the website?
Uh, Absolutely, definitely, just so they know where to go to find it.
That's www.yourhealthpotential.com. And
Mhm.
you'll see right on the front page, you can click on a PDF and get that recipe.
Well, we can probably all verify that we've been through those spikes as far as grabbing something. Then you can combine that with not sleeping well, and that really sets it up for a situation that can be tough to either, have disagreements or have trouble with people at work, or you be feeling irritable. What would you say, Roz? Have you experienced that yourself or
Yeah,
known people?
I'm a strong proponent of what she's saying, because I know that a healthy diet goes a long way to support you at any phase of your life, and when you're under particular stress, it's very, very important. And I think that's the time when people tend to have the worst diets, because they're just not focusing on their own well-being. So it's great to get this reminder. And I'd love for you to talk a little more about the connection, the mind-body connection between your mental state and how your physical state is affected by the things you do and think.
Hmm. You're so right. Um, I think that your mental state is really affected by sugar and the mood swings and the caffeine and the mood swings. The things that are going to help you instead are things like um, avocados and bananas. They have potassium in them and they're calming. So they actually did a study of college students, and they gave half in the class bananas before they went in to take an exam, and they gave the other half nothing. Well, the half that had the bananas did much better on the exam because they weren't as nervous about it. There are other foods that you want to get into your daily routine, especially when you're under stress. The leafy greens are wonderful for the body. They really purify it. They are full of magnesium, which calms you again. And Swiss chard, for example, is one of the best because of the magnesium content.
Hmm. And this is something simple that people can do. And I think this is where people tend to get hung up on, is just think it's complicated. I, and in fact, Cheryl was with me when we did the retreats for the cancer survivors, and like she said, she made smoothies for them, and really just had, I'll call it a blender, but you had your Vitamixer there, and just started throwing things in and hit the on button, and boom, it was there. So it's that simple. But I think you're talking about things that people can have in the house and make it simple.
It really is. I mean, just even having carrots around that are all prepared, you can just pull it out and start crunching. And crunching is good for stress. We want to do that when we're stressed. Um, Having salmon, fatty fish like salmon, is really good because it has the omega-3 fatty acids, which actually lower adrenaline. So,
So if you know you're going to have to deal with your former, and you have to be on the phone or have a meeting or an event coming, make sure that you eat your carrots and your salmon. Stay calm. Is that a good recipe for that?
it really is. And you may want to have the extra carrots for after you've had that conversation so you can really crunch.
You'll be crunching the whole bag. So what particular foods? You mentioned, I just wanted to back up for a minute because people tend to pick up like the candy bar, and that causes, a quick fix, but yet that can leave them feeling irritable. The body is, starving for more. Besides the sugar, what else and the caffeine, are there other things that people tend to grab that can also cause irritability?
Yeah, I would say the gluten, the breads, the cakes, the um, muffins again, those that are made with wheat are very high in gluten. And gluten is really one of the proteins in the grain of wheat. What that does, long ago, we had a small percentage of gluten in our grains, in our breads, and it prolongs shelf life. So the manufacturers have added more and more gluten to the foods that we eat. It's actually in all kinds of foods, and because it is gluten has a glue-like texture when it's going down, and it also helps whatever you're baking to stick together. And in fact, the name gluten is derived or a derivative of glue-like.
Mhm.
So many of us are somewhere on a spectrum of sensitivity to gluten. It's not, the far end of the spectrum is having celiac disease, where your immune system is actually attacking itself as well as the gluten. But before you are a celiac, there's a whole range of sensitivity to gluten where the body will see the gluten as an invader and start to attack it, which means it's giving us symptoms. It can make us irritable because it actually has been connected to schizophrenia. And so
Wow.
if you can do that to someone, you know that it can cause a little bit of irritability or a change in your mindset.
Mhm.
It's also addictive.
It's
So
also what? I'm sorry, go ahead.
addictive,
Oh, okay. Oh, it is. Wow.
yeah, it is. So you really you can start craving that gluten. And if you're having any problems, in terms of weight, a good way to get that weight off is to just try staying away from gluten for, say, 3 or 4 weeks. See how you feel. For myself and for many clients, actually, I have a client who recently stopped eating gluten, and she was taking Nexium every night for acid reflux. She no longer has it because she stopped eating gluten.
That's
For
amazing.
me,
And
Yeah.
that's probably why you see so many foods today that say gluten-free, gluten-free, gluten-free. More and
right,
more.
right. So it's just another thing you can check out to see whether or not that's affecting you.
So between sugar, caffeine, and gluten, those three things could really help you level your blood sugar, but also, what Roz and I hear from our clients all the time is that through divorce, after divorce, they just want to be at peace with themselves. So besides what we help them with as far as communication skills and coaching them on other things, this is something that's right there at their fingertips that people can do. easily enough that can help kind of the inside to help find that level of, that peaceful within, that peaceful feeling within that they're all striving for. Would you say so, Roz?
Oh, definitely. It certainly makes sense. I'd like to bring the conversation to the children. So as parents going through the stresses in life, such as a divorce, what can we do to give our kids the best possible diets? And are there any tips for families that are transferring kids from house to house and have a lot of other outside challenges that they're dealing with? What's the best way to keep the kids nutritionally fit?
Sure. Well, protein, first of all, I find is very important, and it does help to keep the blood sugar steady. You also may need to have 3 meals and a couple of snacks a day. And when I talk about snacks, I'm talking about maybe a few nuts and an apple, or having a little bit of organic yogurt and add plain yogurt and adding your own fruit in. Um, of course, having the animal protein is important. It's full of amino acids that we all need and the B vitamins. So, if you cook a chicken, for example, at night and you're able to then give your kids a gluten-free chicken sandwich or a wrap, that would be great for them. And you really want a well-balanced diet so that they're getting the whole foods. You're avoiding processed foods because the chemicals in processed foods, if we start reading labels, it really is horrifying. From high fructose corn syrup to so many names we can't pronounce that are really, it's not food, it's chemicals that taste like food.
Because I know parents are, like Roz said, they're busy with schedules. They might be the single parent, or they might be switching the kids from house to house, and the fast food is convenient and quick. Let's stop through the drive-in or the drive-up there so that we can grab something on the way to the other parent's house. That's probably reality for sure.
Yeah.
So, we also have to kind of change our mindset that it's not as complicated as we think it is, but yet we're going to feel better in the long run, and we might have kids that are more calm as well.
You really will. When you think about just the food dyes that are in things like M&Ms, they actually have been known to contribute to things like ADD and ADHD, as well as the sugar. So what you're doing is, by having the whole foods, if you cook, say, pick a day like a Sunday and cook something that you can change with a little bit of spice, or the maybe one day you're using rice and another day you're using potatoes, but you're able to use that basic dish a couple of times during the week. And everything you're cooking, you make sure you have the leftovers so that you're able to turn that into something else. And that really saves time. And many of the whole foods are not, it's nothing complicated. I mean, if you have a piece of fruit and some nuts, you're all set. And there's no preparation involved. So it's just, as you said, it's changing your mindset and just realizing that, yeah, you can get, I mean, even if you wanted to get say a protein bar, I would just go for the bars that don't have all the chemicals in them. If you just look at the back and make sure you've only got about 5 ingredients and you can read and pronounce all of them, that would be the thing to get.
Definitely, because I think if the parents eating better foods and feeling more calm, then I think, like Roz, like you said, let's bring the kids into the picture here so that they're going through emotional things as well, and they need to be helped with eating the right foods to remain calm or help them as much as possible.
Yeah, they really do. I know they do. And just watch for food sensitivities. Uh,
That's
you know, a dairy intolerance is common, especially if uh, someone has a sensitivity to gluten. Chances are they have a hard time digesting dairy as well. So if your child is really kind of cranky, just not themselves, you might want to try, swapping the milk for almond milk, for example, or goat's milk, which is easier to digest.
Mm-hmm. Or get the gluten-free. I know my sister's daughter, she's now an adult, but when she was younger, she used to be just bouncing off the walls, and they found that she had that reaction to wheat that you're talking about. Of course, this is back in the 80s, and who knew anything about that? All they knew was, that she was really struggling and would just be bouncing off the walls, and they also found red dye affected her quite a bit. So,
Yeah.
it's a stressful time in your life as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can help yourself by simply eating better and helping your children through this emotional time by helping them eat better. And then that can certainly be the foundation to help with the other emotional things that are happening in your life.
Yeah, and really what happens as you start eating better is everyone starts getting better energy and feels like doing more and getting some more physical activity. And one thing that's very interesting, they told us this way back when in integrative nutrition, and I've seen it time after time, that when a family makes time to eat together and they're eating the same food, the same healthy food, it forms a connection between the family members that really would not be there otherwise.
Mm.
I think that's a very important point, and I'm so glad you brought that up because that's a form of bonding, and during times such as divorce, it's especially important for the children to remember that they're still part of a family, that there's a family unit, and they can be having those family meals with mom, they can be having those family meals with dad, and the siblings. But the important thing is that connectedness is great. And I imagine it's good to teach kids a little bit about cooking and helping them prepare meals with you so that they're getting some good nutritional lessons as well as the fun of putting things together. Have you had that experience, Cheryl?
Oh, yeah. And I know with my grandchildren, they started out saying, I don't like broccoli, I don't like carrots. And, as they're involved in going, maybe you go to a CSA, which is a community supported agriculture, you get fresh vegetables right from the farm. And maybe they are part of picking them out, and it becomes a fun family event to go get those vegetables and then go from there to breaking off. You can see that broccoli looks like little trees, and you really can start enjoying the whole experience of preparing the food. They start to really understand where it came from, and that it's not just something they have to eat because it's good for them. It's really a much greater experience, I think.
That's a great idea. Really a great idea. Plus, throw something in that smoothie and you never taste it.
That's right. That's right. With the green smoothies that are on my website, we have greens in them. And you know, with a squirt of lime, you don't taste those greens, do you, Joanie?
No, in fact, I'm trying to think what you put in that smoothie for the women. You had the greens, the
Hmm.
lemon, the lime, I mean,
Frozen berries,
and then also avocado
right, because that makes it nice and thick.
and
Uh,
coconut water.
mhm.
And they just absolutely loved it. We had to make several batches. They loved
Yes.
it. And that's a great thing to do with the kids. You know, whether they see the greens going in there or not, I don't know. But it's to me,
I
it's
think
go ahead.
I think the first time I would have them taste it before they know what went in it.
Yeah. So your website again, Cheryl, because I want to make sure that they know where to go and get that recipe for a smoothie and make it fun and easy. Bring the kids in, like you said. But go ahead, what's the website?
That's www.yourhealthpotential.com.
Hmm. Anything that you'd like to add, Roz, and then Cheryl, anything you'd like
I'm
to
curious
highlight off?
as to what other services Cheryl offers.
Well, I am an integrative health coach for women, and I specialize in highly sensitive women. What I do is I help women to really come alive by eating the whole fresh foods, and then help them to take a look at the other energies in their life, really looking around at the things that nourish them from their relationships, their work, their spirituality, so that we get all of those things more in balance so they're nurtured by their lives. And then we explore how to find and follow your passion so they can come into their own and really just take off following their dream.
That's great. That's
Beautiful.
awesome. And as far as any tips or last minute tips, Cheryl, that you'd like to share?
Well, I would say just in terms of changing eating habits, don't let the idea overwhelm you. You know, every little change you make is important. And if all you have time to do is maybe add a little yogurt to the diet, rather than having something out of a box, well, you've made an important change right there.
Hmm. So every little bit counts, and you'll get more into it and more into it, and all of a sudden you won't want to even probably go back to those other kind of foods.
That's right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Well, I'm just so thrilled that you came onto the show, Cheryl, to enlighten people to number one that it's not as complicated as it is, but also it is really the foundation to helping you move forward with your life, helping you get along the best you can. I think it all leads to getting along with the former and co-parenting. Plus being, like you said, Roz, it's getting the kids involved and being a great role model. They can have fun doing this and really learning how to eat healthy. I think we're doing them a great service for the future.
I think you hit it right on the head. Absolutely.
So thanks again, Cheryl, for tuning in, and you get to see this video again on our website, which is divorceview.com. We connect every Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When you do go to divorceview.com, over to the right you'll see programs that Roz has available for you, as well as myself, to support you during and after divorce. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thank
Bye,
you
everyone.
so much.
Thank you.